push myself out of my comfort zone and really explore what it means to accept your imperfections.
Okay.
And to start from that place of acceptance of things that may are not so pretty or that might be work in progress, and be okay with them and put them out in the world.
Okay.
So a lot of my work in the past has been really cool and very thoughtful, and that's part of me too, but I think there's something underneath the surface that is worth exploring too and worth acknowledging and allowing it to come to the surface instead of.
And do you find any like reflections in Palanga that you are showing on your work?
Yeah, one of the things that I love is being around the forest. I try to do that. I'm going to the beach every day, and I've been very taken by the way that the moss is intersecting with the trees.
With the tree, yeah.
And
it's the first. I remember that on the first day when we were walking around, you just picked it from the floor, and not from the floor, from a tree, and you started to inspect it.
Yeah, I think there's something beautiful about just seeing things as like being weathered by time without them being, cleaned up. And I think that's something I want to explore more, how to bring in that color palette into the work, and more greens.
Yeah.
And my work is usually a little bit more black and white.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to explore that a little bit more too. And I've taken so many photos of moss and the trees.
Yeah, but actually, so it seems that maybe that's why the green came out on your works, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Or like even in pieces like this, as I'm working on these scrolls, thinking about the trees, thinking about these pieces almost
as a tree, yeah.
And maybe creating that forest.
Oh, so this is your forest.
Yes,
your findings. All right.
Yeah, and so I think it's more about that, like seeing nature and seeing how that can tell us about ourselves.
All right.
How nature is not trying to mold itself into a particular shape, but it's just accepting
the way it is.
The way it is, and it's evolving and changing, and sometimes things get crooked, and sometimes things get broken, and you just keep growing and keep those scars with you, and keep those imperfections with you, and they're beautiful. Instead of trying to be too groomed like a bonsai, just like letting it be.
Yeah, all right.
So it's one of the things I love about the park around here.
So mostly you were going to the park?
I do. I guess I go there pretty much every day, and then I go to the beach too. And it's been beautiful to see that too, like how the water is different every day. Some days it's really calm, like a lake. Other days like yesterday.
I told you that on the first day, that like it's totally different every day.
Yeah.
Like you might find it very still. And like today, I don't know, I guess it will be rough.
Yeah, and then you see the wind and the clouds, the sunsets are, sometimes really amazing and dramatic.
They had a really good opportunity to see one of the best sunsets. And actually Madeleine draw.
I just painted the sunset today. It was so bright. I almost didn't even have colors bright enough for it. It was really stunning.
Maybe we can see your work also?
Sure, yeah. I pass off camera. Yeah. It's been so exciting to work in this space with Javier. It's explosive energy too. But I've definitely been trying to work on smaller pieces recently. But
wow.
This was a photo from that sunset the other day that I was trying to recreate. In a series of camo paintings that I've been working on as well.
So this is like a quick reproduction of a photograph.
Yeah, quick reproduction. Just trying to see if I could mimic the way the light was reflecting off of the water. And one of my favorite things about sea landscapes is the way that the clouds become so heavy, and there's often a little line of really bright sun when it's coming through. And on the East Coast, they're sometimes bright sunsets like where I'm from, but this one, seeing it set over the Baltic Sea it was so stunning. Like the entire landscape was just dripping with the like orange red light in a way that I've never experienced before, and it's inspired me to go to the sea as often as I can while I'm here. And I don't have it up right now, but I've been doing a series of dances or movement projects on the coast around the sunset, just trying to mimic the ways that the plants are moving in the wind. It feels like a nice reverence at sunset. But
what role in artists' life nature has? Because it seems that
important.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, honestly, it feels like almost the other way around. Like art feels like a tool for me to be able to help people connect with nature in a more meaningful way. And I think that's part of why I'm so excited to be in Lithuania, because walking through the forest with all of the fairy tale stories, like it's evident how deeply rooted Lithuanian culture is in nature.
You were listening to the park?
Yeah, I was listening to them a lot. I think I got through all of them now.
Okay, so they were listening to the fairy tale part.
I know, I have been many times there.
Cool. It actually inspired me. We heard recently that there's going to be a bookbinding workshop at the museum here, and I've been wanting to make a kid's book illustration of the Peter and the Wolf story, and so I might do that later.
And what about Antanas Mončys museum that we went? What kind of reflection it left in you?
A deep one, yeah, and exactly what you're talking about. Like the role of nature in an artist's life feels like something that's just so intimate, and especially with his work, it's all made out of wood, and he encourages people to touch it. That was a huge inspiration in the sound work that he did as well.
Yeah.
Even the sound pieces that he does, they feel, the shape of them and the sounds they make feel like they're mimicking bird song or like different sounds that you hear in nature. And I think with all of the sensory overload of the digital culture these days, it's really easy to forget how grounding and important those like moments of connection can be, whether it's like physical or an auditory experience. But in the studio I've been trying to think about those two concepts, like just the stillness and primal need for a connection with nature that I think people struggle with, and then the sensory overload distractions that we have.
And another question for both of you, does it help to be together? Is it easier, or is it, I don't know, how do you feel about spending your time over here together, residing over here in Palanga? I mean, you're spending a lot of time in this workshop together.
I always like to feed off of the movement of the people that I'm working with, but I've enjoyed it. I think it's been really lovely to see the gestural movements that you make, like when I'm watching you do your work or hearing you working. It definitely reminds me of some of the choreography stuff that I'm thinking about.
All right.
Yeah. What would you say?
Yeah, and I've been inspired by your, more maybe your quietness, like how you're just so focused on your work, and I think it's bringing that balance of like maybe a more movement, more stillness, and then one influence the other.
Okay.
Because from the works you are so different, so different. But maybe it's really amazing to find the colleagues which are working in different ways.
Definitely.
But being able to have the cooperation, some kind, and work together.
Yeah, and I can, at home or when I'm back in New York, I would probably work a little bit more in that quiet way. So it's been really inspiring to have so much space to really expand and experiment and play bigger and play more with my body. I feel like I've been meaning to do that for a while, and just having the space here and the openness of nature just feels like it's releasing a lot that I have been like maybe keeping in. Yeah, so it's been really inspiring to be here and to yeah, maybe even just like react to like, oh, I used to work in a more quiet way. How can I?
It was some kind of suppressed.
Maybe things that were waiting to just like bloom.
All right.
You know, and unfurl. And it's been also amazing to be here during springtime and see
Yeah.
all these different flowers and plants just like coming out. And so to me, it feels like this time is a little bit of that.
Actually, it's only been 2 weeks since you're here, both
Yeah,
of
right.
you.
It's
It's only
so
2
quick.
weeks, yeah?
Yeah,
And still 1.5 months is ahead.
very excited. I'm so glad we're here for this long. But yeah, it's been really interesting to watch your practice and think about, like, I think I've, throughout my life, sort of aimed to separate my movement from my physical production. And it's interesting to see you combining those things in that way. And yeah, it's a fun experiment for both of us, I think.
Yeah, I do. And one of the ideas I had for the residency was to bring in some of my Aikido practice, which is martial art, into the work. And I feel just like starting to like stopping compartmentalizing things. It's like, oh, there's my movement practice over here, and my painting practice here, or my writing practice there, and like see how we can bring them all together.
Nice.
And kind of accept all those different parts of you and try to blend them in a way that feels so unique to who you are.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just love being able to do that here. It's so nice. I can't wait for the next few weeks to continue. It's been just like 10 days or so. Of practice.
And guys, can you just introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. I'm Madeleine Popkin. I'm 27, an artist and dancer from Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
And I'm Javier. I'm an artist. I'm originally from Spain and I live in New York City.